In today's video, we explore the dramatic shift in U.S. climate policy as President Trump reasserts fossil fuel dominance, dismantling the efforts made during the Biden administration. From halting renewable energy initiatives to redirecting billions into fossil fuel subsidies, the consequences of this pivot are far-reaching. We'll examine how climate change agencies face cuts or closure, public lands are once again open to extraction, and emissions regulations are rolled back. Join us as we uncover the implications of this reversal on the environment, green jobs, and international climate commitments. 1. Biden's renewable energy push comes to a halt. Joe Biden's administration had ambitious plans to expand renewable energy, particularly in the realms of wind and solar power. His vision was to create a sustainable future, aiming for a significant reduction in carbon emissions. Yet, Trump's policies have redirected focus back to fossil fuels, effectively pausing these initiatives. Biden's dream of a greener America was built on the foundations of reducing the carbon footprint, but with Trump at the helm, the sails have shifted towards traditional energy once again. This pivot raises questions about the future of renewable energy investments and their role in the American economy. 2. Billions redirected to fossil fuel subsidies. Under Biden, billions of dollars were allocated to support green initiatives, promoting a cleaner and more sustainable future. However, with Trump's administration, these funds were redirected to bolster the oil, coal, and natural gas sectors. This financial shift has been pivotal in restoring the prominence of fossil fuels in the American energy industry. The decision to prioritize fossil fuels over renewable energy sources reflects a broader strategy to strengthen the traditional energy sector. It underscores the administration's commitment to reviving industries that have long been the backbone of the American economy. 3. Climate change agencies defunded or disbanded. Biden's administration established several agencies and initiatives aimed at tackling climate change. These entities were at the forefront of research and development in environmental protection. With the change in leadership, many of these agencies faced defunding or were completely disbanded. The dismantling of these organizations has slowed the progress of climate research and innovation. The absence of these dedicated efforts leaves a void in the nation's ability to address and combat climate change effectively. It reflects a significant policy shift away from prioritizing environmental concerns. 4. Public lands open for fossil fuel extraction. One of Biden's key environmental policies involved restricting fossil fuel extraction on public lands, protecting national parks and wilderness areas. However, Trump lifted these restrictions, opening these lands for oil drilling and coal mining. This move reintroduces extraction activities in pristine natural environments, which were previously safeguarded. The decision has sparked debates about the balance between economic development and environmental conservation. The potential environmental impact of this policy change is a matter of growing concern among environmentalists and conservationists. 5. Emissions limits overturned. Biden's administration implemented strict emissions limits to curb the release of harmful gases like methane and carbon dioxide. These regulations were a critical part of his strategy to combat climate change. Under Trump, these limits were overturned, allowing companies to release more pollutants into the atmosphere. The relaxation of these regulations has led to an increase in emissions, reversing years of progress made in reducing pollution. This shift in policy highlights a broader trend of prioritizing economic growth over environmental protection. 6. Reversal of electric vehicle adoption push. The Biden administration was a strong proponent of electric vehicle (EV) adoption, offering subsidies and tax credits to encourage consumers to make the switch. However, these incentives were removed under Trump, shifting the focus back to gas-powered vehicle production. The reversal has slowed the momentum of the EV market, impacting manufacturers and consumers alike. This policy change reflects a preference for traditional automotive technologies, potentially delaying the transition to a more sustainable transportation system. The future of EVs in America remains uncertain as a result of these policy shifts. 7. Increased oil and gas production. While Biden aimed to reduce the country's dependence on fossil fuels, Trump ramped up oil and gas production. This increase was part of a strategy to compete with major global players like Russia and the Middle East. The enhanced production capabilities have positioned the U.S. as a formidable force in the global energy market once again. This surge in fossil fuel output underscores the administration's focus on energy independence and economic growth. The geopolitical implications of this shift are significant, impacting global energy dynamics and trade relations. 8. Withdrawal from international climate accords. Biden's commitment to international climate accords was a cornerstone of his environmental policy, fostering global collaboration in addressing climate change. However, Trump's decision to revoke these commitments has isolated the U.S. from global environmental efforts. The withdrawal signifies a pivot towards prioritizing national interests over international cooperation in climate matters. This move has raised concerns about the country's role in global environmental leadership. The implications of this decision are far-reaching, affecting international relations and collaborative efforts to combat climate change. 9. Renewable energy jobs decline. The shift from renewable energy under Trump's administration has led to a decline in jobs within the wind and solar industries. Investments in these sectors have collapsed, impacting employment opportunities and economic growth. Conversely, oil and coal jobs have seen a temporary rebound, reflecting the administration's focus on traditional energy sources. This shift in employment dynamics highlights the economic consequences of the policy changes. The transition has sparked discussions about the future of the American workforce in the energy sector and the sustainability of job growth in fossil fuel industries. 10. Resurgence in pollution. Years of emission reductions under Biden were undone as Trump's policies led to a resurgence in pollution. The rollback of environmental regulations has resulted in increased levels of pollutants, reversing previous progress. This resurgence poses significant challenges for public health and environmental sustainability. The environmental impact of these policy changes is a growing concern, as communities grapple with the consequences of increased pollution. The rollback of emissions reductions underscores the broader challenges of balancing economic growth with environmental protection.